When your teenager starts driving, it can make you a little anxious, but it can also be exciting by providing more flexibility and less running around.
Yep, she knows. That's right. However, it may also bring concerns about your teen's willingness to follow those rules. And SCALLON is from Before the Wheel is here with some tips on how to phase in their privileges and keep your kids safe on the road. Welcome back, Ann.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Let's talk a little bit about phasing in those privileges and trust, because I think that's what it comes down to. There's anxiety, but you have to trust your teen, right?
Right, and I think you want to set the tone. This is kind of the first big adult thing they're doing. So I always say go out to a coffee shop or their favorite restaurant. Be excited for them and excited for yourself. And set that tone that you trust them. They're an adult and you trust that they're going to take the responsibility seriously.
Well, and it is a huge responsibility. I mean, I still connect it over that at 16, we're giving kids the keys to our cars, to our automobiles, because you know, it can be a matter of life and death. And I try to talk to my daughter about it being a big privilege, but also the responsibility, like you always say, especially I feel like if she has her siblings in the car, as an example. And I think a lot of parents really welcome the chance of having their teen drive around younger siblings because it takes a little pressure off. But that's also an enormous responsibility.
Yes, it is. It is. And that's why, again, you want to start with that positive tone. You want to interact and talk about the rules. And one easy thing to start with right away are the graduated driver license rules that the state already sets up.
So that's an easy way to start phasing without having it to be your own rules.
Right, exactly. And the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration did a big study on the graduated driver license. And if there are several components, and Wisconsin does have all of them, it has the 30 hours of supervised driving with the parents beforehand, it has the restrictions in passengers and nighttime driving and several other, and the reduction in fatalities for 16-year-olds is 11 to 20%.
Wow. Down
Yes.
that much.
Yes.
That's incredible. A big part,
volumes.
you think, because of this graduated privilege system.
Right,
That's
exactly.
incredible.
So it's something that works. It's not like you're just like, oh, doing this, and it is proven throughout the entire country to work in every single state.
It's great.
Let's talk about some examples. You mentioned one, like a coffee shop. There's some examples of good, once they get into group, you know, the ability to have other children, more than one non-relative passenger in the car. Some examples of good places to go. I think the first one is the best, and that's extracurricular activities, sporting events, practices, things like that.
Right, because one of the things with that is they've already been on those trips with you. And I know that the teens and all of us use a lot of time in the car, you know, looking at our phones as a passenger, but they do look around to see what's going on. So you probably have noticed that at certain lights and certain places on the road, people have certain behaviors in each different situation, whether it's a roundabout, whether it's a huge light, whether there's 2 lanes or 4 lanes. So they've absorbed that information. When you give them that familiarity, the friends they've already been to, the movie theater, the malls, the extracurricular activities, they already have some knowledge going into that situation. So it's a very good start for them.
So that group of phase 1 privileges are driving to and from school and extracurricular activities, nearby malls and theaters, utilizing roads with stoplights and stop signs, driving to and from nearby friends, and driving 1 evening per week as they obey a set curfew. That should take about 3 to 4 months. Then we move into phase 2, and that includes more evening driving, faster, busier roads, and merging onto highways.
Right, exactly. And it's all about how your teen is going. I mean, I actually had one of my children said, no, I think I want to do this same set for 3 more months.
Really?
Yes.
Held themselves back.
Yes, exactly.
That's
because
great.
they felt comfortable in those situations and didn't feel like going on. And then, you know, somebody else might be a little bit ahead of the game. And so you just kind of go with the flow.
Well, and I think we're raising a whole different generation of drivers, and we've talked about this many times before, but the cell phone is such a distraction, I think, for kids. You suggest turning the cell phone off prior to entering the vehicle and keeping it off the entire trip. I wonder, though, how many young people are actually doing that?
Well,
I mean, I think it's good for parents to require that and model that. But then I think they get in the car with their friends, and we've had these panels on this show, and they all talk about it.
Right, right. Well, I think also as adults we can lead by example, and honestly I was on the highway quite a bit this weekend as a passenger, and I saw so many people driving on the highway, the driver looking at their cell phone, and they were not teens.
Yeah.
So the best thing we can do as adults is share this information, the importance of it, and it's okay sometimes to say something a little scary like your life will change for good if you injure somebody and you were looking at your cell phone, because they have all those records.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes you just have to be straight out,
Yeah.
I like that you say there's non-negotiables prior to turning that ignition key. And so that's something that's important. You can find great videos, tips, techniques to talk to your teen or share with them at beforethewheel.com. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.